Hello everybody, Michael Potts here on the sailing vessel Evie. So currently in Kingston in Navy Bay, anchored here just across from Fort Henry National Historic Site. I've been here for a few days. So in this episode I'd like to talk a little bit about how I got here. You know, how did I end up with this boat? For those of you who are interested, it all began in the summer of 2019. I was lucky enough to be hired on a few TV series. For those of you who are wondering, I work as a first camera assistant with the union IATSE 667, the International Cinematographers Guild, Local 667 in Toronto. I've been a member for 20 years. So I was lucky enough to get a TV series called Crossword Mysteries and another TV series called Rising Suns with Russell Ewan. Awesome guy. Anyway, so production had paid for me, put me up in a hotel right across from a beautiful beach on Lake Nipissing. So on weekends, I had some spare time. And I've been thinking about sailing for years, thinking about buying a sailboat. So I thought I would get a small sailboat and do some sailing on Lake Nipissing. So I found an ad on Craigslist for a 10-foot O'Day Sprite. Beautiful little boat from the 1970s. I got it off a couple that had a bed and breakfast up in Temagami. And it was great. With help from the camera crew, I managed to get the boat to the beach and I set her all up, put up the sails and began exploring Lake Nipissing. And that's really when my obsession for sailing began, because I started thinking to myself, wouldn't it be great if this boat had a bathroom or a bedroom or a shower and a galley, somewhere where I could be comfortable and explore. And I started thinking about, okay, I think I want to buy a sailboat and move on to it, become a live-aboard. So as the summer was ending, I managed to get very lucky to get some regular work as a first assistant on a movie called Mrs. America with Cate Blanchett, and I was also doing day calls on Star Trek Discovery. So the possibility of actually owning and purchasing my own sailboat at that point became a reality. And that's when I started looking on Yacht World and stumbled across an ad for a Scepter 36, a 1979 Scepter 36 named Kakalina. So I dropped everything and I went up the Penetang machine where she was on the hard, and right away I fell head over heels in love with the boat. I mean, she just looks so like a pure open ocean sailing machine, and put a lot of effort into coming up with a plan so that I could actually purchase the boat. And I made an offer, and of course my offer was rejected. So I made another offer and the owner agreed. And my mother and father were cruisers on sailboats for years. So my dad knew a little bit about purchasing boats. He'd had 3 himself. So he's like, you should have a survey done. So we had Mike Downer come up, a surveyor, marine surveyor. Came in and did the survey. Everything seemed to check out, but revealed a problem with the skeg. Yes, to the point where he described it as the skeg was about to fall off. So after some renegotiation in the price, I managed to come to an agreement with the owner, Murray, and we sealed the deal. And I put her on a truck and had her transported to Whitby, Ontario, where her skeg would get some work done at Custom Yacht Builder, a guy named Peter. He did a wonderful job on the skeg. We ended up putting a coat of a new bottom coat on and a boot stripe, and then we launched her. And that was about a month ago. So that's the story of how I ended up with this boat. In my mind, while I was out there on Lake Nipissing on that 10-foot sailing dinghy. I was thinking, you know, I'm gonna explore Lake Nipissing this summer. Next summer, I'm going to explore Lake Ontario. And then the summer after that, maybe I could explore the Atlantic Ocean. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, it was great. So just to update you on Hiroka came, we showed her around the boat a little bit, and we were tied up at that pier, Myers Pier in Belleville, and we left later in the morning there and headed to Picton, where we stayed. We anchored in the bay there in Picton and enjoyed a meal at a restaurant, and we visited a friend of Sean's, Hector and Ola.
Hey, it's Ola. I'm here with Captain Mike and Sean, and they said that they're about to quit smoking. Hey guys, what did you just say? Tell the people now you're accountable.
We're talking about smoking. Yeah. You know, my mom was like, as soon as we released the video, within 10 minutes, no cussing, no smoking.
Right, yeah. Say it again?
So, I mean...
Say it again, she said. Damn.
No cussing.
Say that again. Say that again.
No cussing, no smoking.
Okay.
That was great. They made us a great meal. We had a barbecue. We had a nice fire. And a good time was had by all. And then Sean and Hiroka had to work, of course, so they left on the Monday there and went back to Toronto. And there it was on my own. I decided to come off the mooring and head towards Kingston. We are absolutely flying along here. Check this out. So I came all the way up the channel there. It's a beautiful sail, and ended up anchoring here in Navy Bay at the Fort Henry National Historic Site. So we're gonna go in and check out that historical site tomorrow, and it's gonna be awesome. Oh, one thing too, my inverter decided to die on me, so I went into Kingston and was able to find a decent sized inverter that will power my computer. So this is great. I got a 3000 watt inverter from Canadian Tire. It's not a pure sine wave, so there might be some buzzing, but it's gonna get me to where I need to be. Got some fuel, and I also got this lock here so I can lock the dinghy up, because it's just sitting there right now at the dock. I'm not there. Anyone could just, you know, pull up to it. However, I did take out the safety cord, so they would have trouble starting it if they did steal it, but because I have this. So I managed to get the inverter back to the boat and install her, and it works great. And now I'm back to where I should be. So stay tuned for tomorrow when we go across to the National Historic Site.